Egypt is known for many things. For many in the world of art, culture, and history, it's known as the cradle of civilization. The ancient Egyptians indeed went full leaps and bounds to design and build some of the world's most eye-catching and beautiful cities. To this day, some of the structures they constructed, like the pyramids and the Sphinx, are still a mystery and wonder, as many can't even figure out how fathomable it was for them to build such structures. Ancient Egyptians are also credited with the first invention of the 365-day calendar year, as they used it to predict the yearly flooding of the river Nile. So basically, ancient Egyptians were amazing, and they built a civilization so robust that it's still a world wonder to this day. But what about modern Egyptians? It's safe to say they've become merely a shadow of their once forward-thinking and innovative ancestors. Today, Egypt has a relatively modest economy based on global standards. The country has also not been with its fair share of political turmoil, economic crisis, and public unrest. However, in recent years the country is taking a fresh perspective, transforming itself into one of the fastest-growing economies in Africa, and never has there been a time in recent history that Egypt looked this good economically. So with all this growth and prospects of even larger economic gains in the future, where does the government put all this extra cash? You guessed it, it's simply instinct. Probably due to their daring and innovative ancestors, or something, because Egypt is going all out on its new capital city. And I'm not talking about Cairo here, I'm talking about Egypt's brand new capital city, which will be built from scratch on an estimated area nearly the size of Singapore. Egypt's $58 billion new administrative capital is one of the highest tech and luxurious smart cities in the world. The megacity was designed to accommodate 6.5 million residents and alleviate congestion and pollution in Cairo. The Egyptian government moved all the country's government offices to the capital, and the city is filled with luxurious buildings and amenities. The skyscrapers at the center of the city are simply lavish and opulent. The $3 billion iconic tower, which is currently under construction, is set to be the tallest building in Egypt. However, there are plans for a taller and even more expensive skyscraper in the future called Obelisko Capitale. At the center of Egypt's new administrative capital, you'll find a massive park system that is 6 times larger than Central Park in New York City. Green River Park contains a huge arch, amusement walking trails, lush greenery, and a variety of ponds and gardens. The city's sports district contains numerous sports complexes, including a huge $1 billion stadium that can seat up to 90,000 spectators. The megacity is filled with 5-star hotels and has a $20 million exhibition hall, as well as a VIP golf course and a massive supermall filled with luxury shops and high-end eateries. Here's a look at Egypt's new administrative capital. It will be completed by 2030, but we're giving you a sneak peek at the futuristic megacity. If you take a walk or drive across Cairo, you may be tempted to think that the Egyptian government embarked on this multi-billion-dollar project to meet an urgent need. Indeed, the current capital is hardly functioning. Ministries and embassies surrounding Cairo's central Tahrir Square are clogging the city's arteries. With many streets blocked to ensure the security of these buildings and their occupants, it is at times impossible to go from A to B in the city. Moreover, the already overcrowded capital's 22 million population is expected to double by 2050. So it is easy to believe that the new administrative capital, which is expected to house embassies, government agencies, the parliament, 30 ministries, a spiraling presidential compound, and some 6.5 million people when completed, is a necessity. It seems that it will not only move administrative buildings out of Cairo, but also create much-needed housing. Moreover, the government committed to allocate 15 square meters of green space per inhabitant in the new development. The new capital will have a central green river, a combination of open water and planted greenery twice the size of New York's Central Park. So the project is also being sold as an effort to tackle pollution and make Egypt greener. But if you look beneath the surface and, most importantly, follow the money, you will clearly see this project is much more than an altruistic effort by the government to decongest Cairo and improve the living conditions of the city's inhabitants. The military's enormous role in funding the project is further proof of the conflation of the civil and the military in a country ruled by a former army general. The military is not only paying for the project, it will also reap enormous financial benefits from this ambitious endeavor. The ACUD, in which the military has the majority stake, is in charge of selling housing units in the new capital. Moreover, the company is also responsible for selling or operating the buildings in Cairo that will be vacated after agencies, ministries, and embassies move to their new locations. Some of these buildings are in the very heart of Cairo, overlooking Tahrir Square, and have significant value. This means the military will see huge financial returns once the new capital is completed. These gains will not be inspected by civilian authority, as the government has little oversight over the military's finances. The construction effort itself is a huge economic opportunity. To build a new city, you need not only funds but also cement, bricks, electrical appliances, carpentry, security equipment, and most importantly, manpower. Thus, this project is an opportunity to create much-needed jobs and rejuvenate Egypt's core industries, such as construction. But there are fears that the project will not only help the country's backbone industries and struggling businesses to get back on their feet, but also allow the military to spread its tentacles further across the Egyptian economy. The military, for example, has the capacity to provide much of the steel and cement needed to complete the construction of the new city. Furthermore, it has access to cheap manpower in the form of low-paid conscripts. As such, it will likely be the military that gains the most from this unprecedented construction drive. It is also not clear who will be able to live in the new capital once it is completed. The housing units there are being sold at very hefty prices. A two-bedroom apartment in the new capital goes for about $50,000, a huge sum that is out of the reach of many in a country where the GDP per capita is about $3,000. Thus, it seems the new administrative capital is going to serve as yet another gated community for the rich and will do little to meet the housing needs of Cairo's poor and underprivileged residents. If the government does not take urgent steps to ensure the gates of this new city are also open to poorer citizens, this new project will achieve little in helping underprivileged Egyptians. This is why the new administrative capital is already being seen by many as a colossal waste of resources. Critics say the money spent on building the new capital should have instead been used to improve living conditions in the impoverished parts of what would soon be known as Old Cairo. In response to these critics, the government said the city will eventually also include social housing, but provided no details as to when these units will be built and made available to those in need. All this brings to mind the regime of Hosni Mubarak and its fall. The final decade of Mubarak's rule was underpinned by the rise of rich capitalist cliques, helping the economy grow, but simultaneously blocking the benefits of this growth from reaching the poorer sectors of society. And one of the most prominent slogans in the January 2011 protests that toppled the Mubarak regime was social justice. With this project, which will likely make the country's rich richer, the military stronger, and contribute to the ever-increasing misdistribution of resources, President El-Sisi appears to be repeating the mistakes that led to Mubarak's downfall. But if the project is not going to help the people and increase their support for the government, why is El-Sisi going forward with this enormous effort? In short, the new administrative capital will help the military and the government consolidate their power. It will help the private sector to make money and strengthen its relations with and loyalty to the government. It will allow El-Sisi to give legitimacy to his regime and build a legacy. However, the government's responses to these claims also hold truth. This project will make a tangible difference in the lives of ordinary Egyptians living in the country's congested capital, and the major construction effort will push the national economy forward. So what's the final take on Egypt's new capital? Well, that's still to be decided for me, because the project won't be completed for years and a lot can happen, especially politically, in that time frame. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like and hit the subscribe button to continue enjoying more of our content as we bring you the freshest, most eye-catching, newsworthy content on business, development, entrepreneurship, and finance on the continent. See you in another video, and thanks for watching.